Hello, and welcome to my little playthrough of my Mega Man level. Let's get right into it. So, essentially why I went with this level is obviously a chaotic city in ruin, but also trying to emulate that sense of, like, original difficulty in Mega Man, while at the same time making this sort of a starter level, like, you know, introducing player to movement mechanics, how Mega Man works, and just how to like interact with the environments and enemies and obstacles that come up during a level. So right away, we notice that it's simple, there's nothing happening right now, it just allows Mega Man to explore and sort of see like, okay, that's how you jump, that's how you shoot, that's how you move, that kind of thing. Nothing too crazy. And as you notice right there, immediately, we show an enemy right after that, the first obstacle, Sniper Joe, but he's elevated away from the player so he's not automatically being a risk, and the player can notice the patterns of how it works. And then if you notice we shoot right there, Sniper Joe is not affected by it, but when we go up and shoot him and when he shields down, that's when we can shoot him, you know, allowing players to naturally explore how to interact with Joe without getting too hurt, and then immediately showing what a health item is, so that you know how to heal during this. And you know, as they continue to move along, right away, fire, another new mechanic, but introduced in a way where the player can see how it works, and you know, also a new collectible, and in general, just kind of showing the player how these elements are gonna work, and you know, eventually, if the player is intuitive enough to understand that these then mechanics are gonna get combined with one another, so obviously then fire, platforming, and then the enemy, and then you can show off the player interacting with the stage and such, so then they understand, okay, collectibles, enemy, items, awesome. So then right here, checkpoint, obviously the player's still safe, they can notice the new enemy and new sideways flamer, understand how they work, and then learn how they interact and study their patterns so then they can be more prepared. So, with the Crystal Joe here, they shoot and they realize, oh hey, I can shoot him right there and then, but obviously if they shoot him when he has the crystal glow around him, it's gonna bounce off, but then it allows players to figure it out. And then right here, we see a new enemy type, the drone. It shows the player, you know, one at a time without, again, isolation principle and the use of combinatorials and pacing. It's still a very slow and relaxed pace. It's nothing too crazy yet, nothing super difficult. It's all at a single time to get the player to understand. You know, one small challenge, then combined with a greater challenge. Something a bit more difficult, but nothing too impossible. Just getting the player to understand the controls and mechanics without explicitly telling them outright. That's the goal with it. That's the goal of this level. You know, show a ruined city, show Mega Man being the hero and such, but at the same time, being slow and generous in its pacing, nothing too substantially wild. And as you can see, the pacing's already dying down a little bit. We got an area where there's nothing here. You know, nothing dangerous, it's just an area for the player to recuperate. And right here, you can see, again, isolation principle with a slight use of combinatorials of different obstacles. We have a new enemy, the Hammer Joe. He's right there. He's away from the player, not hurting them. The player can study his patterns and understand how he moves. And if they're smart enough to realize, oh, I can't hit him when he has his eye closed, but when he has it open, that's the time to attack. That's the time to act. And, you know, we'll go from there. Obviously, you know, if you're a little too reckless and you're not careful on the draw still, as this is still classic Mega Man, you know, it's a hard game. It's well known as a hard game. You're gonna have a bad time. So see? Crystal bounces off. Not charging up his crystal, attack. And then that principle just kind of goes from there, you know? Respect the player's intelligence, let them figure things out. Don't constantly tell them how to act. Don't hold their hand. Let them have fun. That's what I try to convey the most with these levels, with this level specifically. And right here, checkpoint. And also, can't notice here, this big health pellet. Immediate reward for doing well. You know, you went through a bit of tough times, you did some difficult parts, now we're immediately giving you something to help you out right afterwards. Nothing too crazy, again, nothing too difficult, at least for now. Pacing is slowly winding up again with that Hammer Joe, dies down a little bit, then you go onwards, and it gets tricky. See that? 3 obstacles. Fire, Sniper Joe, and then the little catapult guy, or a little drone guy. Nothing too extreme yet, but then we have the Crystal Joe, fire, and immediately afterwards, we also have item usage to show where to go. So obviously the player's like, oh hey, there's an item over there, I want to get to that. They jump in, and then most likely, unless they're really good at platforming, they'll miss it. And then if they do make that platform, they're rewarded with that super life and all that stuff, but normally, they'll miss it, and then they'll fall in, and then they'll have a sense of where they're going now. And then immediately, just as before, we introduce a new mechanic, that they're usually wouldn't get hit, because players, unless they don't make it, they usually fall up on that higher platform, but they get to see those saws in action. They get to see how they move. And then, you know, they have an understanding that that's coming up. And then a life afterwards in case you get hurt. And then the pacing gets brought back up immediately. We have Hammer Joe right off the bat. Some immediate risk with the Crystal Joe. And yeah, obviously it's a bit difficult there in that section. It's not the most difficult, but it still caused trouble. So, honestly, you get the sense of like, hey, Combinatorials, pacing, theming, and also the isolation principle are key elements of this map. Nothing isn't too insane where there have difficulties. But again, see, notice how the gears move in place, how the player's away from it, safe, you can see how it works. Immediate reward. Yeah, you know, in general, just a good sense of how to get through the level. Just have items lead them along slightly, and then different obstacles to show them different paths. Immediate checkpoint, and observe the fire and other aspects. There's a Sniper Joe, you know, a sort of a reinforcement of all the mechanics that you've seen so far, giving them a sense of what's coming up. Now this is where the pacing gets high. 2 different roads. Higher road has better rewards, lower road has less great rewards, but the higher road is clearly the more challenging one, since there's a big one right off the bat, but, you know, it just kind of shows a sign like, hey, why are they giving this to me so early? That's weird. So, you know, it gets the players in that mindset. And it's already a bit difficult, so you have the flying drone up there, Crystal Joe on the fire, so this is definitely where the pacing is supposed to ramp up. So see, if I go on the high road, automatically have less movement to work with, 3 things to worry about, Sniper Joe, and that gear. So if you're not quick to get onto his platform, it's going to be pretty difficult for you. And automatically, see, look at all those rewards down there. Constant help, at the same time though, you know, up here, less help. You know, this is supposed to challenge the player. Let them practice their skills, let them see how they're doing. Here, bit of a die down the pacing, let them relax a bit before you get into the dangerous stuff. Easy to fall down there, be put back on the easy spot. Right there, see that? See those flames? Right away, instant introduction of new mechanics. Combination with different mechanics, Hammer Joe, those new flame guys, you'll obviously see how they work right off the bat, but it's sort of a high tension moment, so you know, kind of have players sort of be like on the edge of their seat trying to get through the level, and then you know, kind of just on the fly quickly learn how to use how those flames work. Immediate sort of just in general like usage of each of those items to just quickly have the pace and hide in, you know, this is an intense part of the level, you got this. And then immediately, relief. All this stuff in case you did the high road and you really hurt. But yes, just basic relief, slow down tension. And then obviously, you know, where do we go from here? There's only one way to go. We've been going right this whole time, so lead the players to use their intuition of, hey, probably should go right. From what we've already established within the level. So we go down right, we fall down, we get to this new section, and then we have all three of the major enemy types that we've been using throughout the level. And then we just establish their usage and everything. Fire, Crystal Joe. See how it all coalesces? All those different aspects, all those different enemies, all these different usage and combinations of the obstacles, and from what we learned by having them all separated at a time with isolation principle, you can automatically understand where to go from here. Fall down, and then you make it to the end, to the boss room, and obviously health and stuff to support the enemy, and we finally go through the door. Boss. You know, if they don't make it the first time, it's a super easy boss. It's nothing too difficult, it's nothing too crazy, but at the same time, you know, if a player's not prepared, they're gonna get screwed over by all the fire and stuff that he has. And yeah, that's essentially the basics of the Ruined City level. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a good understanding of the use of combinatorials, isolation principle, theming, and pacing that I used to sort of combine with one another to create this level. And I hope it made good sense to you.